My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Capricorns. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot, and for this evening, I'm going to be doing your general reading, your past, present, future, 9-card spread. I'm going to be using the regular tarot deck, clarify with the vampire deck, draw a special vampire card, draw a vampire oracle, and finish off with 3 yes or no answers for thee. So let's get started with your reading. General card is the Page of Swords upright. Let's look at the first card, which is also your past. You start off with the Moon reversed, Pisces energy. 10 of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And Saboteur, one of your beautiful cards, King of Pentacles, came in reversed. Okay. You know what I'm kind of seeing here is that you pretty much, felt like that there is no kind of movement, development, no journeys to be taken, but yet you were working incredibly very hard, or you felt burdened about something, and you just didn't get anything out of it in the end. It just kind of reminds me what the human was telling me about. I think what's taking place, currently, is that, how some humans, they are pretty much forced to work and they're not getting paid. Sad but true. I don't really know how that really works because it's differently from my time. So, but if that kind of resonates somehow, where you feel like that there's no movement taking place, there's no like any kind of escape route. Let's say that you're, metaphorically stuck in some kind of traffic jam, right? And so, you pretty much just realize that there's just no way out of it. Let's say that everything is just practically just at a standstill. There's really no movement at all because, let's say that there is a real major crisis that took place and everybody is just, turning off their engines and they're just sitting in their car or vehicle for that matter. And it just, just thinking, okay, we're working incredibly hard, but yet we're not getting anything out of it. Because the general thought is definitely having this outgoing feeling of wanting to start taking action and doing something. But if you realize that there was actually no kind of movement and stuff like that, even though, well, you pretty much just felt imbalanced, you pretty much just thought, my goodness, I just feel so out of it. I can kind of get that feeling from this combination. But anyway, in current times, you get 8 of Wands reversed. Again, no actual movement. Or at least development or something. 2 of Pentacles. You're managing all of your affairs, and my goodness, you get 1 of the cards of heartbreak. Okay, yeah, this is kind of a bit of a tough reading for now, but we'll always have to look at the clarification because sometimes they can give a different, outcome or, a different side to the reading in other ways. But yeah, it just seems like that's, yeah, you could have also, been faced with rejections of hard work, that you're probably, handing in a lot of resumes, you feel burdened, you feel stressed about something, but yet you're just not getting anything out of it. And there's no kind of movement or development taking place. Well, yes, you're still, managing everything, your obligations, your affairs, your responsibilities, and then you end up with heartbreak. Yeah. This is just a very complex reading, and in the sense of a negative reading, because I just feel like, unless you're really having, struggles right now, I would never want to see any human struggling or suffering in any way, because I know what it means to struggle and suffer in other ways, but I would never wish that upon any person. But yeah, I'm sorry if you are currently, struggling and suffering, because if you do end up with some kind of heartbreak of some kind, that could also always and be incredibly damaging in many ways. But yeah, but hopefully, we can still try to find a silver lining or some kind of blessing in disguise. Because in the future, you do get the 7 of Swords, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini energy, Hierophant, Taurus energy, your brother, sister, earth sign. And looky here, the Wheel of Fortune upright. Okay, so you do get some kind of like happy ending, at least, so far in the first part of the reading. You know what I feel like is that, I feel like that a lot of humans are pretty much struggling, well, maybe financially, maybe, it's like you are pretty much, doing like free work, even though you should get paid. And maybe, you feel like that it's just all practically just, yeah, just, you're struggling with heartbreak because you pretty much just think, why does this have to happen? And when is this ever going to improve and stuff like that? I mean, in the future, it's like with the Seven of Swords, it's kind of like on a positive note, having an excellent plan and stuff like that, this real excellent, strategic plan. But on the negative note, it's dealing with some kind of, con artist that's going to be stealing from you in the future as well. But yet, well, you do get these two beautiful cards next to it, and this is also kind of like a fixed card for Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius for that matter. But I feel like that maybe you are going to have like some kind of secret plan of some kind of like still escape route where you're going to try to, will somehow get out of that metaphorical traffic jam, and you're going to try to use like maybe the emergency lane, trying to, head off towards the Wheel of Fortune in other ways as well. But we'll have to look into this from a clarification note. Because for the moon reverse, you get the Empress. So it's interesting, it's like opposite signs, Pisces and Virgo energy. This could have also taken place during Virgo season as well. So what I'm kind of getting here is, you pretty much, you saw no movement, but, you kept your eyes on the prize regarding this new offering, this abundance, new beginning of whatever it was and stuff like that. So maybe, it's like you kind of just, kept up, the positive, effect, the happy, the positive and, or, the faith and stuff like that. And you just thought, okay, it's like, we're just going to keep at it because this is what we want. We want to have new beginnings, stuff like that. Because if you were to give up right now and just think, okay, there's no movement, who's to say, what's going to happen in like 5 to 15 minutes, maybe you do only have to wait another like 5 more minutes, even though you might just think, well, since we're not sure about any kind of guarantee about any form of movement, it could even take up to an hour or maybe half a day, right? So, from hard work, I do see death, the second card that I pulled upright. So what I see is that this hard work is actually increasing or, resulting in this rebirthing. So I feel like that, you pretty much just think, okay, we just have to kind of keep patient. We have to keep going. We just can't give up. And this rebirthing is actually kind of opening up this new perspective of yours. This is kind of like, you having a metaphorical, maybe, psychological or mental, transformation in other ways as well by thinking, okay, it's like we want to have new beginnings, but we're just going to have to maybe, change something differently. We'll have to try to, think more optimistic or positive and stuff like that. So from hard work, I do see this new beginning taking place and transforming at least. Because from King of Pentacles reversed, you get Two of Wands. So maybe you're kind of just having this internal, like, uncertainty or imbalance feeling, but yet you realize that you're going to have to start taking action with the Two of Wands, especially since the general card for today is the Page of Swords, which is having this outgoings feeling about it. So I just feel like that, maybe you might feel a bit uncertain or imbalanced about something, but yet with the Two of Wands, you realize that you have to move. You have to do something. You can't just sit back and think, okay, let's just, we'll wait maybe, because maybe, there's definitely, some, vehicle that ran out of, petrol or gasoline and stuff like that, and then all cars and vehicles are backed up just because one person forgot to, head over to the gas station or petrol station in other ways as well, right? So, even though you don't see any kind of movement, you do get the King of Wands, Lord of Scepters. So I feel like that you're incredibly strong and confident, even if you are, this is you kind of keeping the faith. This is kind of you just thinking, okay, there may not be any kind of like, movement or developing taking place, but as long as we can kind of keep our strong, realistic, rational side and stuff like that, eventually something is going to transpire. Because I feel like that's, today's reading is practically a test for yourself to see, it's like, okay, we're faced with this setback. We're faced like with this real negative experience, but how are you going to go about it? Are you going to allow yourself to suffer and struggle, or are you going to maybe try to have this rebirthing moment so you can enter into this new confident phase? For Two of Pentacles, managing, your affairs, your obligations, responsibilities, you get Temperance. Okay, so you get Leo energy and you get Sagittarius energy. So what I see here is, it's like you're remaining serene, calm, and balanced, even though you're pretty much just taking care of so many things right now. So I feel like that, it's good to keep going, because if you even get a chance to watch one of my previous videos about the history of Elizabeth Bathory and about blood, as long as the blood is flowing through the human body, it means that the human body is functioning. If it's not working, it usually means that there's a problem, right? But here, I just think that you're just, kind of keeping the faith, trying to keep as optimistic and positive as possible by thinking, okay, we're just going to keep at it. We just can't give up right now because, if we give up, then it's practically, just game over, right? But here you could be suffering from heartbreak because you are faced with the Ten of Swords. I wonder if you could potentially, even if you are working hard, that you could eventually be fired in other ways, but you could also be dealing with some real painful ending in other ways as well. So let's say that even though you are an incredible, loyal, hardworking individual, that somehow your boss, whoever it may be, decides to think, you know what? This isn't personal, it's just business, but, half of you guys are going to have to be fired and stuff like that, whatever it may be. And sad but true, you could be one of the humans that could be struggling or suffering with this upcoming heartbreak moment as well. But I think, okay, it's like, sometimes these situations, sad but true, happen. I mean, and I'm so sorry if this could definitely be resonating real soon, because I personally think that, to live is to also, enjoy and to love this beautiful opportunity and not just feel like that, to live is to suffer and to struggle. So, but anyway, let's just keep moving forward. For Seven of Pentacles, you do get Hermit. So what I love about, what this combination is telling me is that you're actually creating and manifesting this strategic plan taking place in the future. And I'm just beyond impressed. Because the thing is maybe let's say that you could be eventually fired, but consider that, your boss's great loss. Because if you're a loyal, hardworking individual, because it looks like that, you're still going about it either way. Because you also have this need and desire to want to just have this outgoingness about you, it's like that I would just consider it their grand loss, because here you are actually creating and manifesting by having to go in within, having to maybe do some personal me time in other ways where you're just thinking, okay, it's like, yeah, we face this painful ending, we're heartbroken, stuff like that, but now we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. Because here you are incredibly devoted and committed to this new voyage of yours, because you get the Seven of Wands. Now this is where you're actually going to be incredibly hardworking and stuff like that. So I just think this is a fabulous, beautiful, happy ending reading. We still have to look at the Wheel of Fortune coming up real soon, because maybe this painful ending is a blessing in disguise, for you to actually, will be heading off towards a way better, opportunity, maybe a financial opportunity, maybe anything that's going to be taking place in the future and stuff like that. Because if you're incredibly hardworking and people actually notice that about you, any future bosses and stuff like that, they're finally going to say, oh wow, oh yeah, this Capricorn is a very hardworking individual. Yeah, we're going to just take this person. So here I see you incredibly committed and devoted, and you're hardworking. Because for the Wheel of Fortune, you get Queen of Grails, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. So I feel like that this Wheel of Fortune is leading you off towards wanting to care, support, and heal. So I see a lot of healing taking place because of this Wheel of Fortune that's going to be taking place. So I feel like that sometimes, we have to experience like these real negative events, because you realize that it's actually for the best in other ways. So you actually get a Wheel of Fortune in the end. It's way better how, I mean, I'm sorry if you are going to be suffering and struggling at current times. I mean, please don't get me wrong about that. But it's good that this came, before this combination. So I just think that, you get a very beautiful, happy ending, and I really hope that this will eventually resonate for you. Because your special vampire card says the High Priestess. This is wonderful. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. So what I just see here is there's going to be a lot of healing. It's like, the High Priestess, I mean, from this card, she's balancing fire and ice and stuff like that. But in the Rider-Waite deck, you see the High Priestess with her upper book of knowledge, your past, like everything, well, maybe, it's like that painful ending was a very valuable lesson to learn. So now you could apply, in your upper book of knowledge, how you're going to go about any kind of future endeavors and stuff like that. I mean, you could also have a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio who's a very loving and caring and nurturing boss from the Queen of Cups as well. But I just only think is that, this is a very, very beautiful, happy ending. It looks like it started off a bit glitchy. But I'm happy that I was able to actually give you a very beautiful outcome in the end. Because Oracle says thirst, craving, compulsion, and obsession. Now the thing is, you know, if you're thirsty for something, you know, it's like, it's a great motivator to want to actually go get yourself a, you know, a beautiful glass of any kind of beverage that you're craving and stuff like that. But I would always be very careful when it comes to feeling any any form of obsession or compulsion, because you know it's like, you know, those are great motivators to have. You know, you know, if you're obsessed with something, you know, it means that you're focused on something. It means that you desire that, you know, whatever it may be. But it could also turn into a real big, well, negative part where you just think, well, I can't function right now because my mind is just, well, too caught up in that moment that I really desire and crave in other ways as well. But if you're thirsty for something, allow the high priestess to guide you, you know, your senses and intuition towards any kind of goal or dream and stuff like that. If you crave and are thirsty for the wheel of fortune, I would just, you know, try your best on so many levels to achieve that, and will desire goal on so many levels as well. So I know it's a little bit shorter than usual, but I wanted to kind of get to the point because the thing was, is I just wanted to make sure you were going to have a beautiful, happy ending. But anyway, I'm going to finish off with 3 yes or no answers. So please feel free to pause this video and think about the questions you want answered. For number 1, you get a yes with the 4 of Wands upright. For number 2, you get a no with the 7 of Cups reversed. And sad but true, you get the Empress in reverse for number 3, another no. But at least you do get 1 yes, but 2 no's. Maybe they can still benefit you either way. My beautiful Capricorns, I'm going to have to leave it at this for now. But if this reading resonated for Capricorn placements, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel for more Vampire Tarot, for more guidance, support, what have you. In a few days, I'm going back to love reading, so for now I'm just doing general and love. But if you're ever interested in a personal reading, let me know in the comment section. And also feel free to check out the project page, web link on my this YouTube channel of mine. But other than that, I want to thank you so much for joining me in this very beautiful, calm, relaxed evening. I want to wish all the best of luck on where this journey may take you. And as per usual, take excellent good care of yourselves.